I'm going to segue into topic number two, because the more we're talking about this, I really think topic number two relates to topic number one. And so we discussed firstly of how we're going to make our first $1,000,000. Now my question to you in topic number two is, how do we save money? Like, for people out there that are blowing their money, I see you all. I see you all. You're lined up out onto the street. You're waiting for your daily Tim's run. I see you at Starbucks. I see you draped in LV. People, at the end of the day, to make the $1,000,000 in our minds, but yet they're not saving money. I think that's very related. So, Zach, how are people blowing their money, and how do they stop the bleeding?
Can I tell you, it is so bad. Like growing up, you see everybody driving around in their Benzes, right? Coming to school in their fancy clothes. Like when I was a kid, it was Roots. Yeah, like the Roots track
Still
pants,
is.
everyone
Still
knows.
there.
Like so there you go. And you're like, oh man, like that family has money. And then I remember in my first job, I saw one of them was a client of the person I was working for. And naturally, I was doing a review of their portfolio. And I was sitting there thinking, no, this can't be it. This can't be all of it, right? Because you see them and you see this lavish lifestyle they're living. And really, they probably got as much money as any average person in the bank, right?
Yeah.
Or at least in investments, whatever it is. And so, it's the first thing that I realized where it's like, maybe the people just aren't spending their money properly. And it's not really about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep, right? And so we have to find ways to, keep yourself honest as to what you're doing with your money. It's the first thing. I remember one of my first clients, one of the loveliest ladies you've ever met. She called me and she says, Zachary, I make a good amount of money, but I don't know why I don't have any, right? And I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't have any? And she goes, I'm literally scraping by every day. I can't even save for my retirement. And so what we did is we set her up on a budget. We said, these are the essential things that you need in your life. It's a 1 month exercise. Everything else is done. Cut it out, right? Yeah. And next thing you know, she's like, I saved $1,000 this month. And then you just go through the list. Like, what are things that she was spending money on? Uber. Uber is the worst. Can I tell you the amount of money?
But it's so easy. I just gotta swipe.
Oh, exactly. Okay, but that's it. They play on your convenience, and it's the same thing with Amazon, right? All you have to do is add to cart, right? And people, what they do is, because it's so convenient, they take advantage of it. And in some cases, yeah, sure, you got to Uber somewhere, right? And Uber Eats too, right? Like, some people don't know Uber Eats inflates the price of their actual food in addition charging you a delivery fee. Like, it's just
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Seriously, go look at the menu. Go on to any restaurant. Go look at the menu. Go look at their prices.
So there's a menu price and there's an Uber Eats price.
Yeah. So people just don't know these things, right? And it's not like it's anyone's fault, but you have to become aware of these things to see that you're overspending. So between Amazon, and it's one of my favorite exercises with clients, right? This is the credit card statement exercise. Between Amazon, Uber Eats, Starbucks is one of the worst. It's crazy.
Wait, $8 coffees are not practical?
Oh my God, every day, right? And sometimes twice a day.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then it's for me and for my partner, and I get my kids cake pop, and it can lead to craziness. But the worst is cars. The worst is cars.
Except in the last couple of years when they've actually gone up, Zach.
Okay, some of the classic cars have. I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
But in general, you're going out, you're leasing or financing a vehicle that's costing you more than it's worth. And at the end of the day, my dad always said, it goes from A to B, Zachary, right? Like there's some people out there who you can understand it because it's about building a brand, right? So you have to look like you're making money in order to give people confidence that you are making money. Yes, the chosen lawyer. But that's it. You do the same thing. You're building a brand, right? Your lifestyle is so strong and committed that makes people motivated to do it, right? And so I can understand that much, but to have to drive around in $100,000 cars, which you drive it off a lot, it's already half the value. You get it in one accident, even a fender bender, it's a quarter of the value. And next thing you know, it's nothing.
It sounds like what you're doing is putting people on essentially a financial diet. Like I remember when I was competing for bodybuilding, I got a spreadsheet every week and exactly the quantities of what I'm eating, when I'm eating, And it doesn't sound like financially people are doing much different. Like, I guess they're getting a spreadsheet and they know what they're spending, what quantities at what times, and they're cutting everything else out. It's like, it sounds like a financial diet to me.
No, it's exactly what it is. We trim the fat, right? But it all comes from the first conversation, which, like, it relays, like you said, back to your first point, which is, what is your goal?
Yeah.
Right? Some people, they want to live this lifestyle and they're fine. And I say, you know what, if this is the goal that you had in mind, living this lifestyle, I can't help you. That's fine. But if there's a next level that you want to reach, that we have to, clearly define that. We have to monetize it, because no matter what anyone thinks in this world, money makes the world go round, right? And so everything has a cost. We have to then associate that goal with a cost. And then we have to figure out how we're going to get there, right? It's just like, the first thing they teach you in economics class, I remember I did this in grade 11 economics. The first thing they teach you, opportunity cost. What's opportunity cost?
Yeah.
It's the next best alternative. So you're giving up something for something else, right? And you have to think about the opportunity cost of your decisions, right? Like, the $8 Starbucks every single day, you can put that in a good investment account. You could have hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars by the end of the year. And then it creates that snowball effect. And it's like you said, the first million is for the hardest to make, but the second million, it's a breeze, right?
I've told people, when I had my first part-time jobs when I was in school, I would look at, when I went to go purchase something, how many hours of work it would take me to buy this, and I'd look at this one shirt and I said, oh my God, this would take me 2 days to pay for, like, full-time labor. This sucks, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw some numbers at you, just just to kind of continue this conversation. First of all, the average Canadian I've read has 8 credit cards. So think about that. How many Canadians are out there? And the
Yeah.
average Canadian has 8 credit cards. So you're talking about Amazon, you talked about Uber Eats, and people aren't paying it from their bank account. They're like, it's easy. I just got to put on my credit card. And all right, fine. But it's funny. Then you come to Zach, you come to myself, like, Zach, how many people do I get doing refinances all the time? And they're like, oh, it's easy. My house went up by X amount of dollars. So I'm going to refinance. Remember, we talked about topic 1 about building wealth, right? They're not taking that extra equity and using it to buy the next property and building themselves wealth. They're rolling credit card debt into that house.
Yeah.
So they're pulling out their equity. Now they have more debt at a lower interest rate in their minds, but they've not gotten ahead at all. And that sucks.
No, it sucks. It's like a get out of jail free card, and it's only because of the area, especially that we live in, where properties are growing in value by just extreme rates, right? But and the worst is when you dug yourself this hole, and then that switch flips, right? Like I had a 27-year-old guy, really, really nice guy, working hard, making a good amount of money, but he's paying down credit card debt. It's not like he owns a property even that he can get that, that get out of free jail card. And it's a shame, because he's paying 23% interest.
Yep.
And now he's taking out a personal line of credit. He's got a credit score of just over 400, which, if anybody knows, if you go to the bank for a loan, yeah, you're not getting a loan at a 400 point credit score.
I've heard 800 as a number. 400 doesn't sound very good to me.
No, you have to be 700 plus. You want to be in that 750, 760 range. If you're in 800, you're breezing by everybody.
You're gone. Okay.
But it's just, you've dug yourself this hole. And it's like I told him, he goes, I want to start building wealth. I want to start building wealth. I want to start building wealth. And so I set him up with a mortgage broker, just have a conversation so he could see what I was talking about.
Yes.
And the only thing he qualified for was a 13% private loan. It's like, I'm not making money here. Of course you're not making money here. Right? You dug yourself a hole. And so you have to be mindful of these things as you're doing it. And the average Canadian spends 180% of what they make. Right?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I was going to give you a scenario of client 1 and client 2. Okay. Client 1 is a millennial, and they got their first job. They're making $50,000 a year. And they're saying, Zach, at the end of the day, I'm paying my bills. I don't think I'm living I'm not living extravagant. I'm pretty frivolous, and I'm barely paying my bills, and I'm barely getting ahead, and I'm not making much money. That's one person. And I've seen these people as clients. And then you got 2 doctors, been doctors for 20 plus years, each of them. And you think they'd be rolling in money, right? Just rolling in it. And you know what? They're coming at the same point. They're saying, we're living our lifestyle. Don't think it's that crazy, all we got, we got our, 5,000 square foot house, and we got our 3,000 square foot cottage. We only change our Mercedes every 3 years. We only take 4 trips a year. Like,
Yep.
Zach, I buy all my Gucci on sale, and it's like, still, I got nothing to show for it at the end of the day. So it's funny how you can have one income stream, two crazy income streams, and yet they're all ending up at the same place. They got nothing to show for it at the end of the month, and they're not putting away anything.
It's hard. It's those are one of the toughest situations to see, um, because there is so much potential there, and it's hard because you compare one to the other. But what can you do? Some people they're not committed, right? Either they're not committed or they don't realize, and it takes a group of people to make someone realize, right? Like that's what I always tell people. And I'm working with a doctor right now. He's a surgeon. He just got out of med school, or no, sorry, he just finished his rounds, and he just got signed on his first contract. Guy's making $480,000 a year, right? And he thinks, Zach, I've been in debt this whole time, right? Now, what do I do? And the first thing he told me, he calls me, he goes, so do you think I can afford this Porsche? That's what he calls me, and he asks me. And I said, could you afford it? Yeah, for sure. Should you be buying it? Absolutely not.
But he
And so
wants it.
what
He wants
yeah,
it.
well, of course he wants it. There has to be, I tell people all the time, you can't just live a lifestyle where you're penny pinching and saving all the time. There has to be some reward to it, right? And that's what I told him. You have to have a small reward, right? Or many, many small rewards, right? You can't just go out and blow it on that first $250,000 car just because you can, right?
Mhm.
And so it's rough. But what I did with him, and it's what, the second you're making a lot of money, this, you have to do this. Like, I would consider it an absolute necessity. You have to build yourself a power team, right? You need a group of individuals who are going to keep you on check and who are going to work together.
Absolutely. And that's where I tell people, when clients come to me, it's funny, by the time they come to me as the lawyer and they're talking about their corporate needs, their real estate needs, one of the things I tell them is, did you do the planning in the background? Do you have the financial planner? Do you have the accountant, the mortgage broker, the lawyer? We work as a team. The team aspect is really, really important. And you're going to execute with a lawyer, but you haven't planned your tax implications and you haven't made a game plan. You need that financial advisor, you need that accountant. We all work together. So it's funny how you and I are in different arenas, but at the end of the day, we're working with a lot of the same clients and we're trying to steer them in the same direction. It's just what part of the team that we're going to be, and how we're going to end up working together and making their goals come true. But it's funny because you know people often don't put that team together, or they pick one individual, and sometimes that individual oversteps their boundaries, and you really needed to have a more cohesive unit together that brings their own skill sets, and that's how the clients are better served at the end of the day. So
Yeah, I had a horror story.
Yeah.
I had a horror story just near the end of last year. Guy comes up to me. He's making, again, 500 grand a year, 400 grand a year. It's a crazy amount of money, right? Young kid, and he's into the real estate game, right? He says, oh, I want to buy real estate. I know the value. I've read the books. I did the research, everything like that, right?
Yep.
And so he comes to me, he goes, my mortgage broker is going to do this for me and this for me. And I told him, I said, I would definitely speak with your accountant, right? And on a first meeting basis, it's not like I can give that guy the stern talk that he needs, right? But I told him, I said, you really need to be speaking with your accountant about this decision. Lo and behold, most of the money he has is sitting in a corporation, and he got qualified for the mortgage he needed because he makes a great amount of money. But the mortgage is being held personally, and they pushed it through personally on a property without checking. Obviously, the lawyer didn't know any better, because why would they? And he comes to me with the situation. And now the only way for him to get money out of his corporation to pay for it is for it to be taxable. He's going to have half of what he needs in order to put down for it. And so, the guy's, he's now carrying an extra 200 in private from someone else at 12, 13%.
Unbelievable.
And it's what happens when you don't have that unit that's working together. And I told him that. I said, I hope this is a small lesson for him to learn. And you know what? The best thing for him is he's going to make it, and he's going to pay it off in like 3 months, because he makes that amount of money, right?
But not everybody
I
can.
told him, not exactly. I said, you're lucky. Not everybody can. And so, it's a lesson learned for him where he kind of got lucky, but not for everybody, and even for that individual who's making 50 grand a year, don't think that it's not enough money or anything for these people. I always get that question, like, do I have enough money for you to work with me? There are people out there who work with anyone. I don't care if my client's worth $5 or $500 million, right? The service is the same. One person needs more work potentially, but no matter what, I'm helping everybody, right? And there's other people out there too. I'm sure you're no different, right? So
let's follow along here now. So we've gone into our first two topics, right? How we're going to make that first $1 million, how we're going to save money. And we found that it's all interrelated. First of all, as far as having your income, finding an income stream, multiple income streams, figuring out how to save money, going on a budget, and putting the right team together. So it sounds like we have really, really good steps here as far as how to save the money, and then how to build money, and how to make money, and how to get to that first $1 million, which segues us into our third topic. Now, probably everybody's watching is curious. They're like, how did they coordinate so well here? We got a powder blue Chosen Lawyer shirt. We got Zach in his blue dress shirt with the blue walls. And there is a theme there. This was not a coincidence, although it kind of was a coincidence.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew Zach had a blue wall, so then I had to go with the blue shirt. Thank you for enjoying today's episode of the Chosen Life podcast. Go ahead and hit the subscription button below and the notification bell to catch all of our great shows. And remember to contact the Chosen Lawyers when you are ready for your next real estate and commercial transaction. Go to kormans.ca.